Bodhisattva den Nyingma Lineage Lam Chimbo Ngabjata Pakartangang Santu Hirmado Umba Tubje Chanla Hipsha Tsar Tsamiki Tanamar Tserp Kundangumban Yambe Yang Rikida Botonin Rugan Shang Chip Lam Zan Sanjas Bay Jati Shival Hala Shang Tsalo Kala Simji Tambar and Jin Jibate Kola Shang Tsarjang Kala no Bashi Jang Dimdra Devin Johnny De La Jobs All right. Can you see Shantideva behind me? Okay. Thank you all of you for being here again and joining this meeting for Dharma teachings and Dharma practice together. And I hope you all doing well and happy and healthy and everything. Again, happy Tibetan New Year of the Dragon. I hope it brings more compassion, love, positive into our lives, into this world. As usual, before we start the teaching, please take a moment and correct your motivation and think about all living beings who are suffering from all kinds of problems and facing in a difficult situation, and keep them in your practice and send them good thoughts, positive thoughts, love, compassion. That's very important because it's good for you, good for them. If you do that, then your day will be great and meaningful. So please correct your motivation, generate bodhicitta. Now, we finished the first chapter, which basically is about the benefits of bodhicitta, the foundation of Mahāyāna Buddhist practice, right? As a Mahāyāna Buddhist practitioner, first it is very important to develop, to build a foundation of bodhicitta and experience as the motivation for both your life and your practice. It's not only foundation, it's everything, right? You know, the six parameters, six perfection parameter practice includes everything. What else you can practice? Nothing. You practice six parameters, that's everything. So once you practice parameters and have a bodhicitta mind, as I always say this, you will be a wonderful person. You have to believe that you can do that. You must believe in the possibility of spiritual growth and in your own potential. You have to check each and every single day your life, your actions, your mind, how much bodhicitta grow in your mind every single day. Then as you practice with bodhicitta and your spiritual growth, you believe your potential, with that kind of confidence, you will experience the truth of Dharma teachings. For beginners, like Buddhist practitioners, they really don't understand the profound and benefit of Dharma practice, Dharma teachings, but with their kind of experience, not just intellectual understanding, but just experience, like, confident in, your compassion, your love, if you really sort of experience that because of through Dharma teachings, you study Dharma teachings, you practice Dharma teaching, through that you will develop unchangeable faith and devotion in three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. That means then you become an authentic and genuine Mahāyāna Buddhist practitioner. Because right now we are not really genuine Buddhist practitioner. We think we are Buddhist practitioner. We think we are good. We believe in Dharma teachings and three jewels, and we believe that we understand the truth, the profound of meaning of Dharma teachings. But as long as everything in your intellectual understanding, you're not genuine, authentic Dharma practitioner. So if you really want to practice Dharma authentically, then you need to take this process, and build a good foundation. As I said, without a good foundation, you don't have a stable and confident path for your practice. Your practice is like a feather carried away by the wind. The feather follows the wind, whatever direction the wind goes. So you can, meaning, you can't stay on the path. Your mind change very easily based on whatever the circumstances, because, your Dharma path is not stable. If you are not a genuine sort of authentic practitioner, then your mind is all over, and then your mind changes very easily with a different kind of situation around people and everything. So that's why I always tell people, if you want to practice Buddhism, you need to take at least three processes. First, investigate Buddhist teachings, learning, basic teachings of Buddha, and make sure you're comfortable with it. Then second step, you need to find a Buddhist teacher. Look for teacher who have sort of received proper training with unbroken lineage, great teachers. That's very important. Second step, the teacher makes your mind become Dharma. Just read books cannot. So whoever makes your mind become Dharma, that is what we call root teacher. That is the most important thing in our life. As you think you are a practice practitioner. And in order to find a good teacher, your investigation will be essential, right? So that's second. And then third step is once you find a teacher, you need to take refuge vows. So these three steps or foundations are essential. If you don't have a firm foundation, stable foundation, you could easily become distracted and give up for all the wrong reasons. And if you are not able to practice the essential teachings, the essence of the teachings, then my teachers say, even if you do understand a lot of Dharma teachings here, it will not bring you much benefit when you have difficult situations. Therefore, Shantideva said that in difficult times when there is, remember, unkindness, selfishness, all this, and loneliness, greediness, etc. It's only bodhicitta that can heal those problems. If you have some experience of bodhicitta mind, not just under, I mean, we finished the first chapter, benefit of bodhicitta. You understand that, but that's just here. You have to experience. Do you understand what I'm saying? Experience. Of course, that's why Bhattam, which says that, please keep bodhicitta as your most precious possession. It makes every single action of your daily life great and beneficial. If you can see it, you can, if you have some experience of, not just, again, I have to say this over and over because this is like degeneration time. People think they are practitioners, but they're not. They understand Buddhism, they understand teachings, but there is no experience. So then everything is here. That sometimes really harms your bodhicitta, because then you can sort of, like, oh, you understand the Dharma, and then you know what to do, what to adopt, or what to avoid, right? And then you sort of like judge other like Buddhist teachers, other religious teachers. Oh, he's not good teacher. He's, because you understand Dharma, but only intellectual understand. So that makes you like, very superficial, so you don't have to understand a lot of teachings. People think, I mean, if you want to become a Buddhist teacher, then of course you have to understand teachings. But just a Buddhist practitioner, you don't need, like as Bhattam we said, if you understand just four lines, one stanza, and you practice that, and you have some experience of that's enough. So everything we all, include myself, is just intellectual understand experience. Then when we have difficult situation, it doesn't help at all. So keep that in mind. In order to have some experience, you need to meditate without excuses. Oh, I don't have time, I'm busy, I'm, sick, or all these kind of things, right? So now that's that. I mean, you understand. Now I'm going to start with the second chapter of the Way of Bodhisattva today. As you know, the second chapter is called Confess Negative Deeds. So in order to practice bodhicitta, first, we need to understand the benefit of it, right? That's the very first chapter. And then we need to understand this precious bodhicitta does not arise without causes and conditions. So we need to practice it causes conditions, the accumulation of its causes. We need to increase our positive karma. We need to eliminate our negative karma. And, you know, if we wish to generate bodhicitta in our mind, we must first purify our minds. Our mind so impure, bad karma. Therefore, here in this second chapter, Shantideva introduces the it's called sevenfold offering, or the seven branch of offering, seven branch of worship, which gathers the accumulations. So these are, you already know these things. When you practice preliminaries, like most preliminary, there are these seven branches offering that goes with the Guru Yoga practice, right? So these are traditional methods for gathering merit. So it's very important. It's very common practice. As Nagarjuna said, you need to perfect accumulations for generating bodhicitta. That's why Shantideva teaches here in this second chapter the accumulation of merit and the purification of negative karma, confession of negative deeds, which are the causes and conditions for generating bodhicitta. So practice this second chapter is important once you understand the benefits of bodhicitta. For that reason, when remember the great Indian master Adisha came to Tibet, and Tibetans requested him to give the bodhisattva vows. He said that, you know, you need to set great offerings. Without gathering merit, you can't generate bodhicitta. You can't bodhisattva. I mean, you can, but it's not very meaningful. So bodhicitta will not arise with someone who has a lack of merit and people, you know, like negative. So we must understand, we must acknowledge our negative karma before we be able to purify it. So you have to really think what kind of negative karma you, even for this life, you can think, and if you did something, you know, create negative karma, you have to think that and then purify it. That's most of you know how to do that with the four powers, right? Implement practice. So now in this second chapter, there are four main sections. The offering section, prostration section, the refuge section, and confess negative deeds section. So 4 sections. That's conclusion, the summary of this second chapter. And then the first of this is the offering branch, the section. There are 5 different offerings in this second chapter. So the first is offerings that belong to you, which is you offer to the Buddha's Bodhisattvas your precious things, possessions. So first I'm going to read the first stanza to you, which is the first offering branch, the one of the 5 branch offering. You offer things belong to you, to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay. So the stanza, the root text, it says, in order to adopt this precious bodhicitta, Rinchen Simte Zongwer Xiaoyi Herald, I make excellent offerings to the Tathangatas, Division Xiahua Namdang Tambachu, to the sublime Dharma, the stainless jewel, and to the children of the Buddhas, who possess oceans of excellent qualities. Shantideva mentions, in order to generate this precious bodhicitta in your mind, you need to make offerings. Therefore, these offerings are important because they make your mind pure if you do them correctly. So when you make offerings of your special things, this practice could help you to reduce strong, what do we call it, the habitual, the self-grasping and selfishness, if you do it correctly. And you are able to let go of those attachments that increase your dissatisfaction, and these offerings can help you be closer to the generous mind of bodhicitta. So by making offerings to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you connect with faith and devotion, and by making offerings to those who are suffering and need help, you connect with love and compassion. With the correct cause and conditions, and if you do this practice correctly, this practice will give you fortunate circumstances, and this good fortune is what Buddhists call merit. So in order to accumulate merit, you can make these offerings to the 3 jewels, basically. But also you can dedicate your your virtuous actions to all sentient beings, so that you can develop your love and compassion. And through that, you will accumulate the most merit. Adisha said that when you collect the most merit, you have to be humble and willing to give rather than willing to collect. So you can offer anything you value at any time, as soon as you see it. Now, when I say correctly, how do you make offerings and how do you do them correctly? That is very important to understand, okay? There are three important things you need to understand when you offer something. According to this first stanza. So the three things, the first, your offerings must be presented with a pure motivation, okay? Second, a pure object. And then third, a pure substance, okay? So with these three pure parts of offering, your offerings will accumulate perfect merit. Through that, you will easily, according to here, this teaching, you can easily generate bodhicitta in your mind. So it says here, in order to adopt this precious bodhicitta, this is the first quality you need to make sure you have when you practice offerings. So which is a pure motivation or special sort of intention. So your special motivation of making offerings is to generate bodhicitta. That's why you do this practice with a pure and clear intention of awakened bodhicitta. So that is very important, okay? Then the second quality is when you make offerings, you need, it says you need a pure object or special object, which here is the three jewels, right? It says here to the Tathangatas, to the sublime Dharma, the stainless jewel, and to the children of the Buddhas who possess ocean of excellent qualities. So these are the pure and special object, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. They're special object because it says they possess oceans of excellent qualities. That's why they're pure objects. Okay, that's the second quality. And then the last quality offering is the pure and special substance, which is what you offer. It says, I make excellent offerings, okay? In the root text. An excellent way means whatever you offer, they should be very clean and in perfect sort of condition. You know, if you offer something that is excellent, that is precious, and that is the best of all the things you possess, that is what is meant by here, a pure substance, excellent offerings. And if you offer something that is not really valuable, oh, I can offer this because I don't need it. So I can offer, that's not, you cannot you can't accumulate merit if you offer that kind of thing because it's not valuable. You already sort of abandoned in your mind, right? Um, so that's not the best offering. Um, Now, in the first stanza, it talks about the three jewels. This is very important. The pure objects. So when you take refuge, you commit yourself to the Buddhist path, right? So you take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Very important. The refuge ceremony represents your final decision. It is because at that point, everything starts with you. Okay? It means when you take refuge in the three jewels, you become responsible to take care of your Dharma practice. Um, you become responsible to take your path. It's everything starts with you. Whether you become a good practitioner or not, it's up to you. To take refuge in the Buddha as an example, you have to think, right? He is example of an ordinary human being who disciplined himself by working on his own mind. And he attained Buddhahood, enlightenment. So he is a great example. And he spent the rest of his life teaching people about how to achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood. So that's why, right? You can do that. Why not? So Buddha is the great example because he was ordinary human being become, Buddha. Buddha is not a name, okay? Buddha, it's kind of a title, It means a person who is awake. So you're following, right? You take refuge vow in Buddha. So basically you make a commitment. Eventually, I'll be like you. And then you take refuge in the Dharma as path. And this way you find that everything in your life situation is a constant process of learning and discovery if you do it correctly, right? The Dharma is Buddha's wisdom, bodhicitta, kindness, patience, discipline. Remember all these six pāramitās. That's Dharma. That's the Buddha's wisdom. So basically, Dharma is basically the Four Noble Truths, the teaching of Buddha. So this is very important. Very briefly, I will tell you this. The first truth tells us that the ordinary life is dukkha, in Sanskrit dukkha, right? Dukkha, dukkha, suffering. So we translate it as suffering. But it means actually, dukkha, it means actually stressful, and unable to satisfy. That's the first noble truth, basically. You just understand your life is stressful, unable to satisfy. And then Buddha explained how, why, all that kind of. And then second truth, the Buddha said, is that the suffering, the dukkha, or this stressful condition has a cause, and the cause is not understanding the reality. And then third truth, noble truth, tells us that this suffering, the dukkha, will not disappear until we realize what's causing it. Then of course, fourth truth, noble truth, tells us that in order to liberate ourselves from suffering, from dukkha, we need to take the path and practice. So when you take refuge in the Dharma, you practice Four Noble Truth, basically. That's all. Everything Buddhist teachings include this Four Noble Truth. So Dharma is Four Noble Truth. And if you practice Four Noble Truth, Dharma is your wisdom. Dharma is method. Dharma is discipline, which keeps you on the right path by showing you what to adopt, what to avoid. So it's a special, it's a Buddha's wisdom and compassion, basically. And then finally, you take refuge in the Sangha as a companionship, right? It means a harmonious Dharma community, people who study the teachings, this Four Noble Truths, and help each other with their capacity, and help each other, encourage each other, inspire to each other. Necessary. You need, as Buddha said, you need a spiritual, good friend, good people around you, because your mind is a beginner practitioner. Your mind is so unstable. So you need Dharma community around you that can help you, that can encourage you, you know? So Sangha is those who are training in great wisdom, good conduct, you know, and who do unmistaken meditation. So these are the Buddhist Sangha's good qualities. That's why, you know, in Tibet, we build monasteries and we stay there together. We meditate together. We study together. We do these things, encourage each other, you know, inspire to each other. That's why Sangha is very important. So in the West, you don't have this kind of community as many as like we have in Tibet. But if you want to practice, you want a Buddhist practice, take this path, you need to join a Sangha. It's important to join a Sangha community if you can, wherever you live, you know, because they're good people, so they can help you. If your mind is not stable, if you live by yourself, you alone, without the Sangha, your Dharma practice is very difficult to develop. For the beginners, you need a community, you need a people around you. Once you are really good about practice, you understand it's not only intellectual, but you have some experience, then better without community. You just go by yourself and practice alone, because you can, whatever circumstance around you, then you can handle that. But until then, you need people, good people around you that can help you. So therefore, from the Buddhist point of view, taking refuge means relying on the three jewels to inspire and guide you toward a beneficial direction, which is liberation, enlightenment, and develop your capacity, because the three jewels possess the excellent qualities. It says here, right? That's why you make offerings to them, so that your bodhicitta will grow in your mind. So you make offerings also, like you practice Four Noble Truths, right? Believe in Buddha, because the Four Noble Truths, this teaching, if you feel makes sense, then this teaching comes from Buddha and his wisdom. So why not? You can't believe in Buddha. So 100%, you have to believe in Buddha and then practice his wisdom. And then you have this Dharma community to help each other. That is offering. Through these things, you can develop your bodhicitta and your other qualities, human qualities, not only just bodhicitta, but right now the topic is we're here like bodhicitta. So whatever you do with this three jewels who, possess the excellent qualities, then that's the pure object. And through that, you can develop your bodhicitta, and your bodhicitta will grow in your mind. When your bodhicitta grow in your mind, and if you have some experiences, you just can't it just inspires you, you can see everything, then you can appreciate everything, then you're satisfied with everything, Anyway, so now the second stanza, it says, I offer whatever flowers and fruits they are, and every kind of healing medicine, whatever precious things in this world, and whatever clear and pleasant waters they are. I'm saying this in Tibetan English, but so you understand, say English, and then Tibetan also, if you don't missing these teachings, then when we finish this teaching, you have a perfect written transmission that came from Shantideva until now, this, lineage. So you will have the written transmission. It's so important, okay? If you missing the teachings, you don't have written transmission, okay? Just make you clear that. Again, the first here we're talking about the substance, right? Like the offerings. What should be the goal of you making these offerings? The reason for making these offerings is to generate bodhicitta in your mind and wish for enlightenment, right? And the second portion is to whom should you make these offerings? As I said, to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, who possess the excellent and great qualities. And before you offer anything to them, you should think about their qualities, okay? You should, I mean, I do that. You should really feel from the depths of your heart that these three jewels are excellent and endowed with great qualities. So for this reason, you make offerings. As long as you understand the qualities of three jewels, then whatever you do with them, beneficial. That's why I always say, like, read the three jewels, the refuge chapters, whatever information. So that's very important. In order to make offering three jewels, you first need to understand the qualities of the excellent qualities of these three jewels. That's second. And then the third, what should you offer to these three jewels? As it says, you can either offer things that you own, or you can offer things that you don't own, such as, here's a beautiful, mountains, beautiful rivers, forest, beautiful flowers, etc. And also you can offer everything when you eat vegetarian food. If you are not vegetarian, you can't offer your food. And you can offer whatever, food, drink. So also you can offer this according to this root text, flowers, healing medicines, whatever precious things in this world. So Shantideva said we can mentally offer all the beautiful things that we see in this world. Basically, it's just fine to think, I will offer all things that I can think of that either I owned or that exist in this world. So when Adisha came to Tibet, he said that the water in Tibet at that time, the water is excellent. It means very pure. So then he said, you Tibetans, you can offer just water. Very fortunate. At that time, like in India, the water is not really pure as Tibetan water. So you can offer, he said, offer this water alone, accumulation can be gathered. He said that. So here, like, my grandma, when she goes outside and when in summertime, when she sees flowers or whatever, and then she just offer right away. I mean, That's actually very nice. So we can offer like something like that. We not own, but beautiful things exist in this world. So we can offer. Basically, we have to remember this offer and makes you remember the qualities of three jewels. That's the, I think, point. Once you understand, not intellectual again, like, but the three jewels, the quality of three jewels, then you can, through that, you can develop your devotion, faith, and all kinds of good qualities, right? So then you're offering very beneficial. That's very important. Now, the third stanza, thank you. It says, airy mountain filled with precious jewels, forest places to be enjoyed in solitude, the trees of paradise adorned with bloom, the flowers, trees with branches bowed like this, right? With perfect fruit. Rinchen ro tang ne devyan de naktsar sapsho wen xiang nyamga tang jon xiang metok genti tutpa tang shangang deep zang yarga tutpa tang. Tutpa means in Tibetan, tutpa means like respect, like bow. So now in order to benefit ourselves and others in this very lifetime, it is necessary to avoid the negative actions and the cause of negative actions. The only antidote to that is through practice and precious bodhicitta, combined with this accumulation of merit. So, we usually, unfortunately, harm others for our own benefits and our own happiness because of, self-grasping and our selfishness. So Shantideva was teaching the way of Bodhisattva, gives a complete sort of explanation of the whole path that we need and how to reduce and eliminate our obstacles for our practice. So please take this opportunity and to practice it wholeheartedly. If we wish to free ourselves and others from suffering of samsara, then we should really develop bodhicitta according to this teaching. Shantideva was teaching. So please practice these teachings, not just the intellectual way, and then think Shantideva was great kindness. How do we repay his kindness? If you practice bodhicitta, that's the best way to, these teachings, the way of bodhisattva, this teaching is, you can't buy these teachings millions of trillions of dollars. It's so valuable because of Shantideva. So it's very fortunate we still have these teachings um, not just on one language, but so many different languages. It's so fortunate. But people don't really, they study a lot, they read books a lot, but just everything, it's intellectual understanding. It doesn't help when you have difficult situation. So now again, in this second chapter, it starts with offerings. So you need to practice the 7 branches so as to accumulate merit and purify yourself. Now, the first branch is offerings, right? As I mentioned above, you can offer things that are owned by you or things that do not belong to anyone. So Shantideva mentioned here, mountains, enjoyable places, beautiful rivers, beautiful trees, beautiful flowers, etc. The important thing is you should not forget the, as I just mentioned you, the 3 pure qualities, right? There's 3 pure qualities. The first stanza of this, the second chapter, it tells you these 3 qualities, okay, that I told you. Whenever you are making offerings, you have to remember these 3. That's why I'm saying if you do these things, that you make offerings correctly, definitely it can cause you develop your bodhicitta mind, okay? Now, the next part of the root text, the 4th stanza, it says, the perfumed fragrance of divine and other realms, all incense, wish-fulfilling trees, and trees of jewels, various types of harvest, growing without being cultivated, and everything that is worthy to be offered. Hlasok jiktin na ya tadana, udang, paksam shangdang renchincho, marmun tongi, lodok nambata, yang chubrogupi jannam. So, as I always say, we must we must cleanse our minds in order to generate bodhicitta. If we really do, otherwise there's no room for bodhicitta because we have a full of this negative thoughts, So we have to clean our mind. But it is impossible to generate this precious mind or bodhicitta in a short time, okay? And without sort of diligent effort. So you need to prepare your minds, think about the benefit of bodhicitta, that is in the first chapter, and make offerings, accumulate merit, and at the same time purify negative karma. You cannot rely on the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to create positive karma on your behalf. If you don't generate positive karma, you will not experience the result. So through this offerings practice, you are creating positive karma, basically, and you are accumulating merit. The more you offer, the more you accumulate. At the same time, you are purifying your negative karma. As you know, there are 5 paths in the Mahāyāna tradition, right? The first path is called the path of accumulation. Do you remember? 5 paths, Mahāyāna, the 5 paths. The first path is the accumulation, the path of accumulation. That's why. Because you make special, this kind of practice, and special effort to gather the accumulation of merit on this path, okay? So during this path, you need to accumulate merit. That's why it's called the path of accumulation, which means you accumulate good karma. You accumulate positive thoughts. You accumulate positive energy. So in order to take the Mahāyāna path, accumulating merit is important for generating bodhicitta. You have to take this path, the Mahāyāna, the first path, before you die. So you have to gather lots of merit. The offering doesn't mean you give something or, to somebody. The accumulation merit means everything. Positive thoughts, positive actions, positive, energy, all that kind of things. You are accumulating merit. At the same time, if you have negative thoughts, energy, all this, you create negative karma. So, yeah, that's that. So these stanzas are very, I don't have to explain, because these are very easy to understand. Now I'm going to read the next part of the root text, 2 stanzas together, okay? The 5th stanza, first, it says, lakes and ponds adorned with lotus, delightful with the sweet-voiced calls of water birds. And everything that is not possessed by anyone. So within the reach of infinite space. And then the sixth stanza, it says, thinking of this in my mind, I offer them in an excellent way to the supreme beings, the Buddhas, together with their ears. Yoni tamba tukji chenamchi dangla chergon dakando darshis. Where I got the Buddhas together with their ears, holy recipients, right? The great compassionate ones, please think of me with kindness and accept my offerings. Okay, so the root text says, thinking of this in my mind here, right? The 6th stanza. This means you visualize, right? You visualize all the beautiful things that exist in this world, and you keep them in your mind as your kind of like, as your thing, your possessions, and then you offer them without any attachment. You offer them to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who wish to benefit all sentient beings. So if you don't have anything to offer, you can offer things that this kind of not belong to you. There are so many, there's so beautiful natural things in this world. Milarepa, think about him, like he had nothing to offer. His cave was empty, but he offered his practice all the time to his root teacher, Marbaloza. And that is the best offering, basically, because what the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas appreciate the most is your practice and commitment to the path of accumulation. My teachers always say that as a Mahāyāna practitioner, you have to take at least the first path of Mahāyāna, the path of accumulation in this lifetime. People have this kind of like goal, right, in their mind. I want to reach enlightenment in this lifetime. But that's it's wonderful, but it's almost impossible. But we can take the path of Mahāyāna, the path of accumulation in this lifetime. If you don't break your commitment when you take refuge in three jewels. And once you are on this path, the path of accumulation, that means you have some kind of bodhicitta mind, not just intellectual, but, maybe still not really genuine. I'm not talking about the ultimate bodhicitta, but you have some kind of relative bodhicitta that you experience, through this practice, the accumulation merit. So then, your mind kind of like stable, and then if you died in bodhicitta, this bodhicitta will take care of your future life. So you don't have to worry at all. That's very important. So you should really think, we all, right? We all think we should make a commitment we have to take at least the first path, the Mahāyāna path, accumulation path of accumulation at this lifetime. Okay, that's the goal, and it's not really that difficult, So keep that in mind. Now the seventh stanza, it says, "Oh." Dagna sonum merdan tenchentin chopi norjin dagla changmam chi dina yandun gompi gonjinda dakatonle nichin tiwishigs. Not being endowed with merit, I am destitute and I have nothing more to offer. Therefore, protectors, gunmit, you who think only of others' benefit, in your great power, accept these for my own sake. So this stanza talks about the reason why we need to make these offerings. The reason is not being endowed with merit. We must accumulate merit. Without, good merit, we cannot generate bodhicitta, for sure. Without bodhicitta, we're not able to take the first Mahāyāna path in this lifetime. That's the bottom line. That's why we need to accumulate merit in order to generate bodhicitta, in order to take the first part of Mahāyāna in this very lifetime. So it's very important. And so never think, oh, I have nothing to offer. Right? So the most important is you need to understand how to offer, how to practice this, right? That's very important. That's why I told you everything today, how to practice offering. Once you know how to practice offerings with these three pure, then you don't have to think, oh, I have nothing to offer. I'm very poor. I don't have money to offer. I don't have food, nothing. You have plenty of offerings, right? So never think this offering, there is nothing to offer. And also never think these offerings will not help anything, okay? And never think if you recite these stanzas every day, you will not purify your negative karma. Never think that. You have to recite these stanzas every day, if you can, in order to accumulate merit, in order to purify your negative karma, so that you can generate bodhicitta. But you have to be mindful. And when you recite the stanzas, make sure you understand. That's why it's very important to study first. But then not only understand, you have to experience, So if you do that, then you will purify your negative karma. At the same time, you can accumulate your great merit. So you should recite it with visualizations and with absolute trust in these teachings and Shantideva. If you don't still have that quality, the trust, right? Or really, we say faith, right? Faith, devotion, but basically trust. If you don't trust 100%, like absolute trust in the Dharma and Shantideva, you're not Buddhist practitioner. You're not even practitioner. So that's very important. Okay. I'm going to stop here for the teaching. Now, meditation, right? Meditation, study and meditation. Study. These two are very important. It must you do this two together. Study, meditate, study. So today we should meditate on accumulation merit as that's the topic for today's teaching. Not just today, but this second chapter, the whole second chapter is about offering practice, okay? We did that last year in May retreat, and we'll do that again this year. So accumulation merit. The word merit is doing something that is worthy and creates sort of value. When you meditate or engage in any form of spiritual practice, such as chanting, reciting the stanzas, and praying, give teachings, listening, teaching, or reading, all of this, you are accumulating merit. If you do them with pure motivation, if you do these things correctly, then everything is any kind of action, activity, meditation or whatever, chanting, teaching, reading, everything, you accumulate in merit. So when you develop positive qualities, you are developing a certain spiritual power in your mind, and all good things come from it. Especially people like us who really want to develop bodhicitta. It works because as we imagine that we are offering our own positive action, like positive energy, for the benefit of all beings. This very intention accumulates merit best. And it also gives you an ability to be strong in a very deep way, so that you can face all kinds of obstacles with strength, with a positive attitude. So cultivate a good motivation, and putting your heart into your practice is also you are accumulating great merit. But without this kind of pure motivation, it's nothing. I mean, you sit down in your cushion and you meditate, for 5 minutes, 15 minutes. Without this kind of motivation and pure cause and conditions, you're just doing nothing, So that's why, like, every single teachings I mentioned you, like how important to create positive and correct your motivation. Because the wonderful, the Buddha nature, we call it, right? Wonderful, this great Buddha nature exists inside of you. So you should activate it through practice accumulation. So today we are going to meditate on Shantideva's Guru Yoga, because through this meditation, we are purifying negative karma, as well as we are making offering. As I told you many times, Shantideva or Buddha don't need your offerings or your respect or your faith. They don't need that. Rather, you do this practice because it can transform your own mind, so that your bodhicitta or whatever you are looking for will arise in your mind. That's the reason. That's just the, very important to understand it. Now the meditation. First, you should, of course, relax, right? Relax and let go of all the distractions. And you should breathe naturally and make your mind relax and kind of clear. Once your mind, body, both are relaxed, then you visualize Shantideva. Of course, you know who Shantideva is. I have the tanka behind me. So you visualize him who embodies all sorts of refuge. You visualize him in front of you with your trust, as I said, faith and devotion. If you understand his teachings, this teaching, um, so easy to develop your faith and devotion in. So in his Guru Yoga, I wrote last year, it says, he clearly appears, yet is empty of inherent existence. Very important. You visualize like that. If you don't understand what it means, then easy way to explain is like you should visualize him is like light body, or rainbow body. Rainbow body appears the essence of all the Buddha's wisdom, bodhicitta, and compassion. That's Shantideva. That's who he is. And then you offer to him everything that we talked about, all kinds of offerings today, right? In this chapter. I hope you remember those. Or you can offer him whatever. So if you do that, it's also your generosity, right? Generosity practice. So you do that, and then once you offered everything like that, and then rays of light stream out from his rainbow body. He's this like, he appears but empty, right? So this rainbow body sort of and dissolve into your heart and purify the obscurations of your body, speech, and mind. And then you just relax right there without any thought. Meditate on that, okay? For 5 minutes, please.